Awesome. If you guys like that beat and if you guys can guess in chat where that song is from, you guys get extra points and extra credit from the Gaming Academy headmaster. But if it's your first time here, welcome gamers to another epic episode of GQAzndood Gaming Academy. Whether you're a casual player or a hardcore legend, tonight you've entered the ultimate quest hub for all things gaming. Now, we're diving headfirst into nostalgia, strategy, and some of the wildest stories from the gaming universe. And here's what's on the party roster for tonight. So, as always, more on this week in gaming history to remind you why we fell in love with video games and the crazy hobby that we have in the first place. Second, a masterclass in Dynasty Warriors origins with the tech, where Blazing Ace Nelson will show us how to wield the spear like the true warriors you are. Now, Nick isn't here, but quick bites from the gaming news world, usually brought to you by the one and only Tragically Elite, aka Nick. He's our insider extraordinaire, but he may not make it tonight. So if we don't get to those quick bites, don't worry, we got plenty of other fun lined up for you guys tonight. We have a brand new segment, semi-brand new, called Yo, Check This Out. We haven't really ventured into it yet, but tonight we're going to be jumping into it a little bit more, where we're flipping through the golden days of retro gaming, ads that were as wild as they were unforgettable. So grab your controller, power up your nostalgia engines, and get ready for a night of laughs, memories, and maybe even some epic gaming wisdom. Level 1 starts now. Let's go get it. All right. Well, as you know, I'm not. Well, that's a little bit of a one step ahead there. But as you know, usually I have my crew here, the faculty, with me. But Nick may or may not make it tonight. But he's usually our news guy. But the guy that is here tonight, the guy that always brings the heat, my man from the streets, the Blazing, the Ace, the Nelson, as always. What's up, my dude?
Hey, how's it going, boss? How you been?
We're doing good. We're doing good. It's been a week. I feel like, 2025 is off to a roaring start. There's a lot of games already kind of, piling up in the backlog. Oh, yeah. And there's only so many hours in a day that we can kind of like catch up and play without being irresponsible. So
that's what the weekends are for.
Absolutely. And I try to sneak in a bunch of stuff, as you know, like I've told, the faculty and also the students that I'm working on an A to Z gaming challenge this year. Right. And hopefully I've already knocked out 3 titles, but some of those titles on that list, pretty hefty. Like I'm actually I'm going to play Mass Effect Trilogy. So that's going to be a lot of game right there. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Did you say, are you actually going to go through like all 3 games, or?
Yeah, so I plan on playing all 3.
Like, play a substantive amount.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna like 100% them. I'm probably just gonna bam go through them, right? And kind of like just go through the story as much as possible. And usually, what I'm gonna do is if I get stuck on something, like my guys are under leveled or something, I'll just go off stream and grind it, and then play the story on stream. So that's kind of how I do that. There's also some challenging games on that list. Like I think I have Neo on there. So I think I'm going to crush through all the mini titles, right? I just played recently, and you guys will find out tonight, Trek to Yomi. So, that was like a quick 5-6 hour gameplay, right? But like there will be some titles I'll probably be there for like a whole month, if anything. Yeah. But yeah, excited for tonight. Got a lot of good stuff going on. If you guys are, in chat, if you guys are watching on YouTube or Twitch, just know you can find us on youtube.com/GQAzndood or youtube.com/Blazing Ace Nelson, or is it just Ace Nelson? Can't remember.
It's Blazing Ace Nelson.
Blazing Ace Nelson. So we're both streaming on both of those channels. If you're on Twitch, same thing. Twitch.tv/GQAzndood and twitch.tv/Blazing Ace Nelson. So you can find us. There's no excuse not to find us, pretty much. Yeah, either in both channels. Did you know I actually hung out with Andrew last weekend, aka That Asian Kid. So if you guys have been following my channel, you guys know who that is. He was 50% of Too Asian for You back in the day, right? You guys remember that? And how he was like, man, I was trying to find your podcast last week. I couldn't find it. And I was like, maybe I'm just doing a bad job, like marketing this thing. So he kind of motivated me to do more of it, right? So hopefully one of my, I guess, like go-tos is increase exposure this month and next month. So that's the goal there for tonight. But yeah, so before we get into this week in gaming history, like I said, chat, if you guys are there watching, let us know some of the craziest gaming retro ads you remember looking through magazines. I found a bunch. All right, but I'd like your input. I'd like to kind of see which ones you remember that you were like, holy crap, this is an ad. This is one of the coolest ads I've ever seen, like Mortal Monday, right? Like those, like, or like there was like a cool, like, there's a lot of cool Super Nintendo ads back in the day too. So if you know, put it in the chat. I'll go find it and I'll put it on the screen for you. So let's start that now. Now I'm gonna jump onto the next screen here. We're gonna be starting this off. So in this little segment called
Yo, check this out.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know if you guys know this, but that track is actually from Killer Instinct. So one of the greatest games that one of the greatest soundtracks. So let me see, we get the proper window over here. Now I don't know if this thing's kind of wild. We'll do this one. So yeah, this game was for what? Sega for Virtua Fighter, I think, right? And just look at this, like the first thing you see on this thing is domestic violence.
Wow.
Like, wow. Like, is this like an ad for a video game, or is this like an ad for like
Is that a PSA?
a call for help? Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's got that angry red color font, right? And then there's the dad looking at his son. Like, I'm assuming the implication was the dad beat his son in fighting games, right? So domestic violence, but like stuff like this is just like, I feel like wouldn't fly anymore. You know, so
Without question.
was there anything from back in the day you were just like, what the heck? Like, I don't remember that, or that was a really cool ad to kind of like look into.
Well, I was trying to remember because I mean, like I know there were like a couple ads. I think there was one for, I want to say it was just advertising the Genesis where, you know, it was like this woman in lingerie mad at her boyfriend because he was over there, you know, playing video games, and I think the tagline was something like, you know, what he'd prefer to play, or like, you know, he couldn't keep his hands off the system, you know, something wild.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that one where it was like he couldn't keep his hands off me, but now it's all like on the system, something
Exactly.
along those lines.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just like I just remember how colorful and like just how wild these ads were. Like, for example, this is for Battle Arena to Shinden, right? Look at this. Like, we don't see this stuff anymore. At least I don't recall seeing this stuff right now, right? And there's some good stuff in here. Let's see if I can find more.
This kind of stuff, man.
Oh, this one right here. What's up, Chop? How are you? This one right here, I remember this was a 2-page spread. And as soon as I put this up here, you're going to be like, I remember that. Not 100% you'll say this, okay?
Yes. Look, dude. I remember talking about this a while back, but like at one of the there was an amusement park out in San Bernardino, Pharaoh's Lost Kingdom, right? It was a water park, but in like the main pyramid before you hit the water park was where they had the arcade, and they had an activator set up for Street Fighter EX2.
I'm already sweating just thinking about that.
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah, I do remember like back in like the early 2000s at GameWorks, they had a Tekken 3 cabinet with an activator, and that was kind of fun. But here's the thing, right? People thought if you emulated the moves that's the moves they would do on the screen. But really, the activator is just you're pressing buttons depending where the sensor is. So
Pretty much.
Right? It's still cool, like at the time, right? But but it is what it is. It's just a fancy controller. It didn't really like, you know, holo scan your body to emulate the moves at the time. So here's a little fun one, and I think this is a little stab at this game because of how easy it is. But I'll let you guys decide. So, okay. First of all, there's a few things happening in this ad, right? So back in the day, kids, before Square Enix, before they merged together. They were called Squaresoft, and then Enix was his own company as well. Then they fused like into Gogeta, right? The Square Enix. But the reason I don't know the reason why I think this is a stab at this game is because the game is easy. It's proven that if you put the X button on turbo, you can still beat the game. Someone did it, right? So that's the funny part. Like, and here's the thing: I don't know if you guys know too much about Mystic Quest. Mystic Quest was actually not supposed to be a Final Fantasy game. It was supposedly like a what do you call this? Like a sequel to it's part of like the Senkei Densetsu, like the Secret of Mana series. Mm-hmm. Right. So Mystic Quest isn't really a Final Fantasy game. Like it was just they slapped it on there because that was the hot thing at the time. Right. And also, if you think about it, it's also $40. It wasn't $60 like it's Big Brothers. Like
true.
You know, so that they knew that like, hey, we're just gonna plaster Final Fantasy because no one knew what Secret of Mana yet in America. Because remember, back in the day, like Japan and in the West were like things were like localized differently. They got their games first. We got their second. I got the game second because you got to get it localized, right? Stuff was changed for the Americans because like maybe difficulty, right? Stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff happening back in the day. All right, here's another one that I think you guys will appreciate, especially Chop. Says Chop's in the chat. Let's go.
Heck yeah.
That's what's up. And there's the cursed logo, LJN. Oh my gosh. You see that logo and you're like, what kind of garbage am I playing here? But that was like their shtick, you know? Like you knew.
You can't spell Kusoge without LJ.
That's right. That's right. That's right. LJN is part of the Kusoge legacy. So here's this one's probably going to be coming from our brothers and sisters in the UK because there's a big flag all over it. But this is their version of what do you call this? A Super Nintendo ad. I guess it's an ad. So remember back in the day too, you had to send in stuff. You had to send in like postcards and write letters to the company because you can't fill them out online. But yeah, look at that. And remember, video games back then were targeted for teenage boys. That's exactly what they were aiming for. That's exactly why that hence the ad, right? So just keep that in mind. Like it's like I know it's kind of weird, but it is what it is. Let's see here. I don't know. Was there any like other ads that you kind of remember? Like I remember the Activator was a big one. There was a series of like sports games that was very memorable from what I remember.
Well, for me, it was. Well, I mean, there were a good number of magazine ads that were memorable, but it was also some of the TV ads that were like just advertising for video games and, pop culture advertising by and large in the, 80s and 90s it was something else. And a little tidbit of trivia for you.
Mm-hmm.
Advertising was actually where Reggie got his start before moving on to Nintendo.
Bills, yeah. Advertising for Nintendo or just advertising in general?
Oh God, I think he actually did some of the marketing and advertising for. Well, I know he did some of the ads for Nickelodeon, mm-hmm. for Pizza Hut.
Okay.
And oh God, I think he did some of the ad work on VH1.
Oh, I can see that. See, here's like my example of some of the wild Nintendo ads, right? I do remember seeing this in like a Game Pro. Like I remember in my brain, I'm like, because there's a lot of color play in this, right?
Right.
And so I just thought it was cool. Like, oh my gosh, you can get your Game Boy in different colors, right? Which is funny because you can get your Game Boy in different colors, but the screen's still black and white, or monochrome, whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of a fun part.
I got the pea soup green.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, even with just that pea soup green screen, they were able to cram a lot of detail onto that system.
I mean, it's true. It's I mean, because I think at the time the handhelds were the LJN Tiger Electronic games, right? The Tiger mm-hmm. Electronic games that was the handhelds at the time. That's why Game Gear was so cool because it was like colored, right? But to have a Game Boy meant like, oh my god, you had your video game on the go. That's yeah, you must be rich, you know, like that to me that was my opinion. I was a one console house. Remember that, chat?
Right.
So the fact that the Game Boy counted as a console to my parents, so if I had to get a Game Boy, I had to get rid of the Nintendo, and I was like, well, it's not worth it, right? It's not in color, it's small screen, right? So I made my bed.
Exactly.
Here's a little fun one. If you guys remember this game here. Yeah,
Oh my god! Oh my god! That takes me back.
Not only are we going back to nostalgic and retro, we're talking about, look at this artwork. Like, this was before digital art, by the way. Keep that in mind. We're talking the 90s here. Like, this guy is talented. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know who the artist is, right? And they're probably super popular now. Actually, I think I heard of a documentary where they found a lot of the box art artists and they like talked to them.
Yeah, like before he passed away, I think they got a hold of what's his name, Mick McGinty.
Which one was that one?
He's the one that did all the box art for Street Fighter.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one. I'd love to talk to the guy that did all the Konami ones. You know, like, because those Konami boxes were like you can tell they were made by Konami or that person by Konami. They had their own personality, like Super Castlevania, Contra, right? Life Force, Gradius. They were all like
Contra, especially. I mean, just the fact that he managed to get Arnold and Stallone's likeness on the box.
And then Metal Gear was what's the one? What's the guy's name in Alien? The guy that played Hicks,
right? Bill Paxton?
No, the other guy, the main guy, the boring guy. He played the main character in Terminator 1.
Oh, what's his name?
Michael Biehn. Yeah, he was the inspiration for Solid Snake and the art. Did you not know that? What? Metal Gear Solid. All right, I'm gonna pull this up now since Metal Gear NES box art. And you're gonna be like, oh snap, it is him. Actually, there is a straight up rip off image about it right here. So look at that. Let's see if there's a bigger one. There you go, kids. Well, blow your mind right now. Yeah, that's the one on the right's from Terminator. So that they got his pretty much influence from 80s movies. A lot of the 80s art was influenced by movies, like you said, Contra, right? So let's pull that up right now. I don't want to get into too much into this one, but these are all interesting, right? And as we get older, we kind of gotta take these, we take it for granted, right?
Especially considering, again, just the simple fact that video game box art, it was all hand painted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's super good. I like this one a lot. This is like, that's where it's from. This is from Predator, and this is from Rambo, and of course the Red Falcon is Alien, right? And if you guys don't know the OG, let me pull it up for you. This is the OG. I love it. See, we're not even kidding here. This is I feel like this would be a good trivia, like where this is from. But like this is Contraforce, right? And this is what I was talking about. We need this guy that does this artwork. He's so good. It's got its own personality. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, hand painted. This is wild. Imagine having a painting of this in your house. That'd be super rad, right?
Heck yeah, get that blown up and framed and just like have it hanging in the kitchen or something. That'd be a dope conversation.
I think I found a similar ad to the Sega Genesis one, but it's for the Neo Geo. All right, and it's after 8 o'clock, so it's gonna get spicy.
It's prime time.
It's gonna get spicy.
That's the one, actually. That's the one.
That's the one. See, SNK. I can see why you thought it was a Genesis. right? But yeah, these were ads back in the 80s, right? In early 90s that come from kids magazines like
Right.
GamePro and EGM,
And I
right?
still remember, now that I think back on it, I do remember like two other ads. Both of them, mid to late 90s Capcom fighting game ads.
Mhm.
One, Pocket Fighter.
Pocket Fighter? Okay. Interesting.
The only thing diminutive about these fighters is it was like their stature isn't the only thing that's diminutive about them. Or something along those lines. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
that,
let's see.
and also Schools Out of Control. I'm sure you know what that one's for.
Yeah, rival schools, I'm assuming.
Heck yeah.
This one right here?
Yes, that's the one. No wonder they're always looking for a fight.
Yeah. Look at that
All the
Zangy.
short jokes.
Look at that beef. Look at that Zangy right there. Yeah, see, these are fun, and this one specifically was the era of like Capcom's Fighter Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Like they you pretty much got points for buying their games, right? And you could redeem those points for swag, right? Back in the day, so it's just super cool.
Like taking the barcodes off of cereal boxes, proof of purchase. Send them in, get a cool T-shirt.
That's right. That's right. Here you go, kids. Here's a good one for you.
Oh my god. Yo,
kids, wash my car or wash my truck. That's kind of crazy, right? It's like bringing me back. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm young, like not like super young. I would say like early teens, right? Like, and because like since we didn't have internet, like we weren't exposed to ads every second, right? We actually had to pick up a magazine, look up, like had a reason to like look through it, like, oh man, I'm looking for codes or something, right? And then these were just in the magazines, and they're just and to us, like the more creative they were, the more memorable they are. This is why we remember these ads, right? And this one I don't remember, but the game you will remember. But I don't remember seeing this ad specifically for you, Ace.
I remember that ad actually.
Right? I don't remember this ad. This has to be like late 80s, probably in comic books. I can see this in a comic book in some way or form. Right?
Early 90s, considering when World Heroes hit the Super NES.
Yeah.
But
And
that I remember seeing that exact ad in issues of GamePro, and even in a couple issues of Tips and Tricks.
Yep, there you go. Here's another one targeted to the teens for the Saturn. Isn't that crazy? Like how much we're just exposed to it all from a younger age, right?
Right.
Like, but it's actually pretty clever. Like the ad says, "There's a beautiful naked woman on this page, but you don't care because you like the video game so much." Right? That's the implication. So it's super cool. Like, I mean, that, like I said, wouldn't fly now, but back then, like they were a little bit more edgy. Right? And I didn't know this was a thing, but this is a Toys R Us ad for apparently the N64 version of the Power Glove. So
yes,
that's kind of nuts. So let's see if I can find some memorable, like super memorable ones here that really.
Well, again, just
this is the classic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
These guys are still Dan Pacina
and Rich
DeVizio. They're still actively like they're owning their characters.
Okay,
They love
like
it.
it's let's see, Dan Pacina, Rich DeVizio, John Parrish, who was Jax in MK2 and 3, and of course Carrie Ann Hoskins.
Oh my God, I remember this. According to Andre, here we go. That's right, brother. I remember
that is like you see these ads, and that is like you just can't help but shout that. Just oh my God, I remember this.
And then we got HD over here saying if the ads are memorable even to this day, then they are still doing their job. Lol.
Bingo.
Hence why it's timeless and we're still talking about on a podcast in 2025 when this game came out, 1995 maybe, right?
Yep.
But probably before that, right? So
actually, it was like 94, 95.
So we're gonna continue our fighting game ads here. Which one's this one? Look at this one.
Yo,
Also, shout out to SNK for this sick ass cabinet. Look at that.
look, if
Oh,
I swear, if I actually wind up finding that cabinet, bruh, it's
pretty
over.
good.
It is over.
Sam Show 2 is like considered one of the best. So pretty good, pretty good. Here, speaking of Dan Pesina, I found one of him from another game that he was in.
Yes, over there
Oh,
looking like Johnny Cage.
yeah. So the whole point was like he was saying that I think his contract with Midway was like they screwed him over or something like that,
Oh,
and so he went to Bloodstorm and started doing ads for him. Like Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat is playing Bloodstorm, right? Like he even out of his own game, he's playing this game. That's the isn't that why that's crazy?
just
That's
like
like,
actively taking shots. But I mean, again,
yeah.
that's competition.
Hey, it is, and
That's competition breeding innovation, even in advertising and marketing.
correct. Like I would love to see Ronald McDonald and the Burger King duke it out. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to see that ad, right?
Okay,
And
look, okay, a little bit of deep lore for you related to advertising, mind you. But my first summer up here, when I came to visit Thomas Duder,
Mhm.
I had a sketchbook with me, and we came up off of the yeah, it was the Samish exit. So I want to say exit 251, 252.
Yeah,
But
pretty close.
yeah, but we came up off of that exit, and we were pulling into the McDonald's, and I drew a picture of Jack from Jack in the Box holding Ronald McDonald's head with the tagline saying, "Hey, try my new sandwich."
Fatality. I remember seeing this ad right here, and I think I was like, like I was like, oh my god, this is like the next generation graphics. Like this was the coolest shit because before 3D polygon characters, we had pixel art, right?
Mhm.
And I was like this would be equivalent to like a Marvel movie CGI right now, like the highest form of CG back in the day, right? So to be able to see your character, and your character does not play like this. This is just a cutscene. So this was amazing to see back in the day, and of course, two-page ad. Because that's how big that game was, right?
Oh God, yes.
This one I remember definitely seeing in a magazine and a few comic books. You remember this one?
Like, remember how I was talking about how it was TV ads for gaming that were also really memorable for me?
Mm-hmm.
Because sitting down watching the Disney afternoon, and you see, you know, a Moogle behind a desk sounding like Danny DeVito holding a casting call for monsters and just wiping them out.
Here you go.
Like the commercial in the US was already talking about how busted Mog was.
Yeah. This one was
Balls.
This first of all, the game's called Balls, right? Like if you're a kid, you're gonna be like, I want to play some balls, kind of like that. So and there's a lot of jokes clearly, but like this was like very simple, very minimalistic. Clearly, they were going for the name, right, to be recognized by the name. So stuff like that.
And hell, there are even some games where like the label or the box art is it ain't just the box art, but it's the ad itself. Pull up the cartridge label or the box art for Tough Enough on the Super NES.
Tough Enough box art. Oh yeah. I know that one. Very comic book.
Mm-hmm. And it's not even that it has the title there, but it's literally the boss calling you out like, "Hey punk, are you tough enough?"
Yep. And I think this was whose art was this? This is very familiar. It's like Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, I think that's Liefeld.
Yeah, because I remember the lines. The lines are very Liefeld.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, AJ, Yos, what's up? Also, HD, the one that got him fired. Oh, the Piscina, right? Yeah, because you can't commingle with the competition, man. Like of course they would, right? Here's one. Speaking of comic books, I think is a super good one, which I think is getting a remake also.
Oh, Comic Zone, I wish.
Yeah, I think officially Sega's making a remake to this. Not a remake or a sequel, but they know that people know like they know about Comic Zone.
That's gonna be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite games back in the Nintendo. has one of the best soundtracks, I think, in any video game.
Heck yeah, we got both Contra and Jackal right there.
Okay, so I do remember like watching a documentary about Saturn and on how Sega's like marketing in the US had to be on point because they were competing against PlayStation. So they hired a guy that was like he marketed like for ESPN or something like that, like some kind of like major publication, and because they were desperate. Look at this Saturn ad. Like what?
That's some wild shit.
Yeah. All right, chat. Is anything else? We can be here all night. There's a lot of good stuff on here. Got Game Gear, got Sega, I got accessories, WrestleMania. It's all here, man. There's one specific tennis one that I was looking for. Let's see if I can find it. And this one was like the thing that.
Yo, Jacobs, that's a damn good question.
Oh, like Left Eye Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll put this up and I'll look for that other one. Look at that.
Oh my god.
The funny part is we've passed that year. That's the funny part. All right, I found it. So there was this game. Hey, what's up, right? But there was this game on, I think the Nintendo or Super Nintendo called the Davis Cup Tennis. Does anybody in chat remember what the Davis Cup Tennis game was? Probably not. Very obscure game, right? I think I played it once. I rented it. I was like, this is okay. Super Tennis is way better. But here's the ad for it, and I think and this is censored because back in the day this would have been okay, but now it's not. So I don't know if you guys remember this ad or not.
Bruh.
But no, this is the original ad did not have that box. I'm telling you, as a kid, you're like,
Hey, excuse me, what?
I want to play this game. Oh, Jay goes remembers it now. See, we're triggering everybody in chat. Guys, we can make this a thing on check this out every stream because there's a lot of ads to go through. So I think it'd be fun. I think everyone's having a good time right now.
Oh, absolutely. And see, now I'm just gonna want to I remember there were like a couple of YouTube channels that I found that were just that just was nothing but old school advertising from back in the 90s, from back in the 80s and 90s. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was either a website or a YouTube channel that had all the cartoon and video game ads from back then too.
Oh, there's a YouTube channel that has all the video game ads, and I thought about playing it as just B footage in the background, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the magazine ads are extra special, right?
They are.
Because we actually had to go searching for these things, because TV, we're just sitting there and they give it at us, but we're looking through pages and we're like, oh, this is cool, right? So here's Power Glove, another useless controller, but still cool. Look at that kid, he's cool. But anyway, that is check this out.
Yo, check this out. Yo, check.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so move on to the next one in this week in gaming history, guys.
Speaking of nostalgia,
I'm gonna find a modern rock version of that remix of that jingle.
Ahem. Hardcore Uprising.
Oh, do they have that specific one? Okay, I'll look into it. But anyway, this week in gaming history, we got the spotlight for tonight is the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, because last week we talked about Dark Alliance 1. Yep, on the PS2 and Xbox in 2004. I was kind of unsure about the date, but I was like, it checks out, right? Or a little bit after 2000, because I think that was my measurement, 2000. I do remember playing this game, super cool. I think one of the things you were able to do this game is play legendary D&D characters, like Drizzt. You can be Drizzt in this game.
Yep.
Right? The Power Glove in the Wizard. Yeah, absolutely remember this one from the Wizard, Jagos. For sure.
In fact, I believe that the Wizard was where they pulled the pick for that ad from, wasn't it?
Yeah, the kid that had the Power Glove playing Rad Racer, that was the kid in the ad, right? A few other mentionables for this day. Medal of Honor Allied Assault on the PC for 2002. right? Maximo versus the Army of Zin on the PS2 in 2004. What happened, Maximo? Bring him back. Saints Row Gat Out of Hell came out on multiple consoles in 2009. Gravity Rush on the PS4 in 2017. Apparently, this day was the day of the Hitman. Hitman 3 came out on 2021 on multiple consoles. Hitman Trilogy came out on multiple consoles in 2022. And Hitman World of Assassination came out on PC and PS5 in 2023. So it's January 20th, it's Hitman Day. So pretty wild.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually made January 20th Agent 47's official birthday.
Oh, yeah, April 7th would be a good one, right? 4/7.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good one. Yeah, we got a few comments here. Look at that. Like Andre says he misses Maximo. I miss him too, man. Maximo was the successor to our boy Super Ghouls and Ghosts guy, Arthur. Right? And then they kind of stopped. I think because it wasn't cool anymore, right?
But I mean, seriously, the Maximo games were so good though, because it was bringing back Super Ghosts and Goblins, but also capitalizing on freaking medieval.
Yeah, they, like I said, competition breeds innovation. Like this was during the time where if a movie like Armageddon came out, someone's gonna make a movie called Deep Impact, right? So this was the era where they were competing for your attention, So, but yeah, these were some of the coolest games on here. I really want Capcom to kind of go back and get Maximo out of the bin. It doesn't have to be AAA. AA will be just fine.
But yeah,
right?
just pull them out of mothballs. Hell, maybe go for a 2D remake.
Yeah, totally cool. Like kind of like what they do with Mega Man 11, right? Like just get creative with your IPs, man. You don't have to put in millions of dollars in this. I'm over that.
I mean, hell, Tribute Games and .emu could do some stuff with Capcom properties as well as what they've been doing with Sega. I mean, look, man, Streets of Rage 4 is still probably what I would consider like between that and Shredder's Revenge. Those are like the prime examples of great franchise revivals.
Yep.
Look at what they're doing with Shinobi.
Yeah.
And imagine what they could do with something like Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
And Capcom already did like that remake, right? The one on the PSP. Then they eventually ported it to the PC and PS4. So I respect that. But I also feel like they release these games, but don't tell anybody, so nobody plays them unless like you're a hardcore fan, right? So they need to do a better job of like they had that like Capcom arcade platform that they had for a while, right? And you can download that and download all their arcade games in there for like cheaper price, right? They need to do that with their smaller games, not just push Monster Hunter. People are going to buy those anyway. Like, they're looking forward to those things. But so your other IPs need a little bit more love because, like, for example, the other day,
that's why they're called tent poles,
right? The other day, some guy was watching Max's mod for Marvel Infinite, right? And some dude in the comments was like, "What is this game? When did this come out?"
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of that actually.
But you get what I'm saying is that like like people don't know these games that have come out, nor like are informed about it, and they think the Marvel Infinite and Beyond was the original game. They don't even think it's a mod because they've never seen it before, right? And the guy was only watching a cutscene. Like he wasn't even like watching gameplay. He was watching like Morgan talk to Dante, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know they made a new Marvel game." I was like, "No, bro."
Man, have we? It's like, "Oh, you sweet summer child, have we got something to tell you?"
That's what I'm saying. And then maybe like at the time,
I remember me.
That too, and PN03,
PN03,
PN03. So that's another one. All right, man. Tonight's been a lot of chatter, and I love it. All right, next one in this week in gaming history. Ice hockey came out on the Famicom actually back in 1988 in Japan. Probably one of the first Nintendo games I've ever played, and actually pretty fun. The only other hockey game that can beat this is Blades of Steel, because it's actually a fighting game with hockey in it. Right. That's exactly what it's called. So, plus also Blades of Steel can be like a sword game, right? Like,
Mhm.
like you don't know it's a hockey game. If I said, yeah, I played Blades of Steel, super cool, like you would have never thought it was a hockey game, right? So that's what I'm saying. Other mentionables that came out this day. I don't know if you saw the thumbnail of our stream for tonight. Fire Emblem Monshu no Nazao, Mystery of the Emblem, came out on Super Nintendo in 1994 in Japan. That was one of the arts on that thumbnail. Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land on the Game Boy in 1994 in Japan. Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation in 1998. Super Smash Bros. On the N64 in 1999 in Japan. Can't forget about Skate 2 on the PS3 and 360 in 2009, and Resident Evil Village came out on the PS5 in 2021. So I feel like these companies know which days their games came out, so they kind of emulate that. You know, like Hitman clearly was like, we'll release it January 20th.
Right.
But Resident Evil to come out Village and 2, that's not a coincidence. You know, they were like, we sold really well on this date, we should try it again. You know, I have a feeling. Maybe wrong. Let's see here. Red Riot Bot, I play you play Blades of Steel with your father? That's awesome. Who wins though? And why do you pick Chicago all the time?
Excellent questions.
I don't know. You know, honestly, I don't think aside from the color palette swap, there's any stat differences in those old games.
Oh no, there really isn't.
Yeah.
Except for Tecmo Bowl and any team with Bo Jackson.
Well, I mean, Tecmo Bowl is just Bo Jackson with other football in it. So, speaking of games that were controversial back in the day, on the 22nd of January, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball came out on the Xbox in 2003. Right?
Now,
big one.
XBV, that right there, I think it's safe to say that Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball opened my eyes in a lot of ways. But one of the most important ways that it did was the simple fact that it's like, again, I was already playing Dead or Alive. I was already playing Dead or Alive and Dead or Alive 2. And it's like, Extreme Beach Volleyball, what's going on here? And it's like, okay, it's the girls from Dead or Alive, it's all the fan service, but then you sit down and you actually play it, and it's a damn good sports game.
It is like literally
shockingly good.
It is to me. I always thought it was like the Xbox Mario Party.
Yeah, no, that is a perfect. That's a perfect analogy. It's Xbox Mario Party with a damn good volleyball game in it. And then when Rumble Roses hit the PS2 and Double X hit the 360, I went into it with the same mindset as I did with Extreme Beach Volleyball. It's like, okay, there's something going on here. There is more to the meal than just the cheesecake. And on both counts, I was right.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, this game could be renamed to Zach's Party. I mean, Zach was the main character.
Party on Zach Island.
Andre said the game like this wouldn't be made today. I think it would be made in Japan.
It'd be made in Japan.
Yeah, you'd have to import it over.
Or maybe in Korea.
100%. But yeah, that's it. They would still make. As a matter of fact, I mean, I think they've released like a PS5 or PS4 of Dead or Alive Extreme Beach or whatever it is. Like
it's like Extreme Venus Vacation.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. I think the plot is like you're a manager of a model and you have to entertain them to become the best model there is on the island, right? Something like that. So. You got DOA for fighters and then beach volleyball and other games for the thirsty ones. Hey man, I play DOA too, hardcore for the fighting and the thirstiness, right? Like hot men and hot women and fighting, like, and then they were like kicking each other off cliffs and stuff.
Okay, look, someone posted up a video on Twitter a couple days ago showing like the little tag team intros between Jan Lee and Lei Fang.
Oh yeah.
And I was watching it and I'm sitting there like, yeah, Lei Fang's a baddie, but Jan Lee been having drips since day one.
Yo, Jan Lee make Jackie run for his money. I'm just saying. And I feel like Jackie came out first, right? But Jan Lee showed up and was like, this is how it's done, man.
Oh yeah.
He definitely, like, you want to play Bruce Lee? You play Jan Lee. That's the best way to emulate that with a slight like sense of like craziness, like a little bit more fun. It's not so serious, right?
So delinquent Bruce Lee.
Delinquent Bruce Lee. Yeah, that's I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but that's a really good way to put it. So, but yeah, DOA was like the Mortal Kombat of its time, and people were like, "Oh my god, what has video games come to?" Yeah, right. But like, it's no different than that tennis ad that I showed you. It's targeted for like teens, late teens, right? So this game is what, mature, yeah. So 18 and plus, and I think, and the games got older as you got older, right?
Yep, it's targeted to the people that are not only playing but buying these games.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
back when the industry was still very much in its infancy after the crash of '83, a lot of it was more family friendly. So the advertising focused more on getting your parents to buy you these games.
Yeah,
But then
man.
you hit the 2000s and it's like, okay, everybody that's been playing these games, everybody that's been, riding along with us from stage 1 all the way up to stage whatever, now they're old enough to make the purchase. So it's like, let's get them.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I can tell you what, man, I can count more than my hand the amount of parents have bought their kids games. GTA
That they
5.
shouldn't have.
Yeah, GTA. I'm gonna buy this for my kid. I'm like, are you sure? Like, do you know what this game is? Here's the funny thing: they're okay with buying GTA for their kids or Gears of War, anything uber violent and anything like that. But you put this, they put this game on the counter and go, "We're not buying that, little Timmy." And I'm like, that's weird. It's just girls in a bikini. But then it's okay to decapitate and do crime. You know what I'm saying? I was always weirded out by that. But then again, that's like, I grew up with parents where I can watch Aliens, watch Predator, right? Watch every Arnold movie. But then if there's a new scene that
You
comes
gotta
up,
wait till they're asleep before you can watch Silk Stockings on Cinemax.
exactly. Which is like, it's like super stupid, but it is what it is, right? But yeah, a few other things that came out that day. Burnout Paradise came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In 2006, No More Heroes on the Wii in 2008. Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch on the PS3 in 2013. And Tales of Zestria on the PS3 came out in 2015. Pretty light day for games, but looks like PlayStation was killing it that day with JRPGs. Also, Burnout Paradise arguably will be the last entry in the series. That's where the road ends for Burnout.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I think this would be a good rhetorical, but super quick. I think Burnout Revenge remade.
Oh, hell yes.
Where it's like, here's the thing: even if they made it live service, right? Because I know they're thinking about that immediately. But to find out that the guy that took you out is online. And then he goes, "Hey, the guy that killed you is online. Would you like to log on?" I'm in.
Heck yeah.
And then be one of the cars immediately, like in that race.
Come on, seriously, just like in this day and age of asynchronous multiplayer, something like Burnout Revenge or Split Second would be just,
oh my god,
phenomenal.
Don't even talk about Split Second. That game is stuck with Disney, I think, and they're not going to do anything with it, But the concept of the game is so cool, right? Like who would have thought to use the environment as your weapon?
Right? I mean, no, I was streaming it a little while back, and yeah, just
still good, man. Like give it some, tighten it up graphically, right? Fidelity, even like make it. I don't know, like don't even make a sequel. Just tighten it up, add more stages. The stages are the real characters, in the game. So that's kind of wild. So hopefully they do something with that. So moving on.
Wait a minute, just
yeah.
Take into account the fact that Split Second is pretty much fashioned as like a reality TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool too.
Like, imagine being able to actually do a live event like that with players from across the world.
You know what? Here's the thing. Could be live service. Could be seasons.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they can be like this episode or this season in Split Second. Stuff like that. Yeah, dude. See, we got ideas. We got ideas, man. Speaking of ideas, I wanted to ask you about this one. So on the 23rd of January, Silent Line Armored Core came out on the PS2 in 2003 in Japan. I'm curious, Ace, since you're the resident mech pilot here. Why do they call it Silent Ace : Armored Core, not Armored Core Silent Line?
The reason they actually call it Silent Line, like
Mhm.
it's been a while since I've actually played through it, but Silent Line that does have some story significance in that one. And Silent Line is the follow up to Armored Core 3.
Okay, okay. So this was the sequel to Armored Core 3,
Yeah.
but not. Did they ever do a 4?
Let's see. Okay, so just real quick rundown of the Armored Core
4 was
series.
on the 360. That's right.
Yeah, but just real quick, Armored Core, the first game, then it had, Project Phantasma and Master of Arena, which were the follow-ups to that. Armored Core 2 came with Armored Core 2 Another Age.
Mm.
3 came with Silent Line, and then also let's see, it was Silent Line, Nexus, Ninebreaker, and Last Raven. Those were the PS3 titles. And then Armored Core 4 and 5 were in the PS360 era. And with 4 you also had 4 Answer, and with 5 you had Verdict Day.
And is a like there's so many add-ons to the three series, right? Do you think it could have all been DLC if this was made this day?
Oh, without a question.
Like you wouldn't. Did they also play upon that you owned Armored 3 as in the memory card at all?
I believe Silent Line. Yeah, with Silent Line, it followed up if you had the AC3 data.
Okay, okay, and that's cool because we talked about how Dynasty Warriors did the Extreme Legends, and if you had the save file for the other one, it would acknowledge that you had it. So I think it'd be cool if they did that with these games also. So yeah, that's a good. I mean, that'd be a good video for you to make, like the whole legacy of Armored Core. So you're the Armored Core guy here. A few other titles that came out that day on the 23rd. A little title called Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes in the arcade came out in 1998, but nobody knows about that. I don't know. A game that everybody cared about was Parappa the Rapper 2 on the PS2 in 2002. So that's great. Parappa Rapper 2 on the PS2 in 2002. I love it. Okay. Sengoku Basara 4 came out on the PS3 and then 2014 in Japan. And also another Capcom title, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, came out for the PC in 2017. Yeah. But yeah, you are also our Basara. You're the one that actually introduced me to Basara because I didn't know anything about Basara. Even before Samurai Heroes had announced, you were already playing Basara games before that because they came out in Japan first.
Yeah, and I mean, like before I even came up to Bellingham, I had already imported 1, 2, and Heroes, which was the expansion to 2
on the PS3, right?
on the PS2.
PS2, okay, yeah, because you wanted a what do you call it? A console that played imported games.
Yep.
And the 3 fixed that because you can play any game, which was great. I think that was one of the biggest things they ever did because why not sell more games, right? Why not remove the competition, right? Oh, I could be playing this way, but if you play the Japanese version, you're still playing on PS3. Yeah, that's smart that they do that. Consumer friendly. All right. 24. This oddball game, Fire and Ice, came out on the Nintendo in 1992 in Japan. Chat, does anybody know what kind of game this is? And I can tell you why I chose it. And I think the first print did have that terrible green logo warning on it, but the second print did not. Does anybody remember Fire and Ice on the Nintendo? This came out on the latter portion of the Nintendo's lifespan, and it was kind of like their, guess it's Tetris, but from Tecmo, right? Arguably one of the rarer games on the Nintendo, and this is why I put this up here. Last time we were talking about how much were these games, and I wanted to see how much this one was going to be in a box, because the one that's popular in Nintendo was Samson. It was like the last Nintendo game ever made, right? And that box was like $3,000 or something like that. But yeah, Fire and Ice for loose, which means it's just the cartridge. Right now on pricecharting.com, it's about $165 for just a cartridge, guys. That's pretty pricey. If you have the manual and the box, comes to $328. So doubles in price. And any takers on how much this is for a new sealed copy?
It's probably gonna double that. Probably hit like 600-700. What?
For a new Fire and Ice game, sealed with its plastic, original, never been opened. One sale happened last year for $1,300. So you could probably buy a house with your whole collection of Nintendo games if you have never opened it. Which is wild if you think about that. Here's the funny part. Chat story time, real quick. when I was a little boy, right? My dad would always say to me, "You know what you should do? You should buy 2 copies of that game." And I was like, "Dad, that's stupid. I only need one." And I was like, "Why?" He goes, "Well, you play one and you put the other one away." And I was like, "Then what? I don't know. I'm just gonna collect dust." Because you're a kid, you don't know the idea of monetary value, right? He was onto something, and so if I had 10 sealed copies of Fire and Ice, chat, that's over $10,000 of value. That's crazy. 10 games cost $10,000. That's insane if you think about that in perspective, right? That's nuts. Anyway, the other games that came out that day was Mario Party 2 on the N64. Came out in 2000. A little title on the PS3 called Pixel Junk Monsters in 2008. On the Vita, Demon Gaze came out on the 2013 in Japan. The Guided Fate Paradox on the PS3 came out in 2013 in Japan. And Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue EX Fighter Alpha Omega on the PS4 in 2017. So it was JRPG the day for PlayStation and the Vita, along with Mario Party, and Pixel Junk also came out. I don't know. Does anybody know what Pixel Junk is? Pixel Junk Monsters specifically on the PS3? I actually own this game.
Well, I forget what the original Pixel Junk games were, but I know that usually with like Monsters titles, it's specifically, specifically taking that property and making it into a monster breeder game like Pokemon or Monster Rancher or something like that.
Nope. Pixel Junk is the developer, right? And Monsters was a tower defense game.
Really?
Yeah. It was just the tower. So the monsters will walk on this path. Then you make the towers to attack the monsters. That's
okay.
All it was, yeah. And it was one of the first PS3 downloads I've ever had. They made another one that was like they would sing. Like every monster had a different tone, and you create a song off the type of monster you get. So cool. So that's a little bit more what you're talking about. They had Pixel Junk Shooter, which played just like Defender and Asteroids, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of Pixel Junk games which I thought was very clever and fun during that time, and I don't know what happened to them. Kind of like very very similar to what's that? The guys that made Castle Crashers. Is it Behemoth? I can't remember. I think it's Behemoth Studios. Like they just kind of disappeared. They did Battle Block Theater, Castle Crashers. There was another one that they made that was really popular, and they just stopped making games. I don't know if they're even open anymore. Alien Hominid was a good one, the Contra one, right? So lots of titles there. Newgrounds, guys. That's right. Oh, here we go. On the 25th, Ghost Pilots came out on the arcade in 1991 in Japan. I would say it's a shmup, right? I don't know if you guys have ever played Ghost Pilots. I chose this one because it's like, well, we don't give enough love to shmups here, so we need to give them some love. Mm-hmm. It was their version of 1942. Capcom had 1942. Neo Geo had Ghost Pilots.
Yep.
So, and it was it's super fun. I think if you have Amazon Prime, you can actually download this for free on their gaming platform. So check it out, but you can easily get it as a ROM. It's super fun. And in that era of shmups, Ghost Pilots stood up test of time against the Capcom ones. My favorite Capcom one was called Varth. I don't know if you guys know what Varth is, but it was
that.
Yeah. Because I think at the time Raiden was the one everybody knew about, right? So, and of course the other one, Aero Fighters, was the other one, right? But Ghost Pilots, I think, is the underrated one, in my opinion. Yeah.
Definitely. And then if you're looking for like, some of the more recent ones that are still underrated, Gunbird and Gunbird 2.
Mm. Yeah, and with that, like without bordering into bullet hell, right? Because bullet hell is totally different, in my opinion, than shmups. Because like the difficulty spikes up massively in the bullet hell game. A couple other games here. Speaking of hell, Onimusha Warlords came out on the PS2 in 2001 in Japan. I know Andre's playing that right now, so keep cracking at it. The game that everybody loves to hate, Devil May Cry 2 on the PS2 in 2003. The game that everybody wants to buy but don't tell their friends, Playboy the Mansion, came out on the PS2, Xbox, and PC in 2005, which, by the way, is just The Sims with like extra, with adult, right? Dead Space 2 came out on PS3, 360, and PC in 2011. Path of Exile came out on PC in 2013. Gosh, that was over 12 years ago. That's crazy. Kingdom Hearts 3 came out on the PS4 and Xbox One in 2019 in Japan, and the remake of RE2 came out 2019 for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. So, pretty good day. Except for Devil May Cry, right? Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
We know what that's about. All right. So, I don't know if you made it to the intro of this podcast, but that intro song we listened to was actually from this game. Arguably my favorite Saturn game of all time, right? So, Guardian Heroes on the Saturn came out in 1996 in Japan. Anime, beat 'em up, multi-lane, fighter, RPG, action. It's got everything. Anime cutscenes, anime music. It's so good. And you get an NPC that never dies, that's always with you. That's I don't know what to say, but this game covered all the bases. If you were a Final Fight fan, an RPG fan, right? It was good. Multiple endings, multiplayer mode, like 8-player Smash Bros. Guys, Guardian Heroes did it all before Nintendo did. It's true. This Nintendo don't.
Like seriously, the closest thing I could think of today that is out that plays anything like Guardian Heroes as far as just its structure, not necessarily the multi-lane, but it's still, like a 8-directional, belt scroller beat 'em up, Fight and Rage.
Yeah, that's accurate. And we don't get too many like fantasy beat 'em ups, I've noticed either, right? Like in from what I've played, I think there was one called Shing, like Shing sound effect, right? And there's some other ones that are like not really popular because they get no love, but like this one combined with anime and they also in 1996, guys, this is wild. Graphically, this game looked amazing, right? The sound was amazing, the soundtrack was great, right? HD says Guardian Heroes is the most underrated beat 'em up. I agree. And that's why it costs a pretty penny to buy. One of the rarer games on the Saturn. I'm glad you brought that up because it is not cheap. It is probably one of the most expensive games on the Saturn, aside from Dragon Force.
Guardian Heroes was re-released on, I believe, on Xbox Live Arcade.
Correct. It 100% was. And
it's stuck there, and it sucks.
Dream Factory. Who was the they did like Mischief Makers. They're the ones that own this, right? Like
yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with them. Treasure. Yeah. So loose price, just disc, $117. That's okay, right? You want that box? You want that long box? That long manual? Gonna cost you $231 for Guardian Heroes. New price, not bad. You think it'd double? Not really. $321. I think that's okay for a sealed Guardian Heroes copy. Acceptable. There must be a lot out there. So, but yeah, it's no fire and ice. But to have this in your Sega Saturn collection, definitely good. definitely good. Yeah, I know this was when I bought my Saturn. This was the first game I picked up. I was like, I don't care about any. I bought this. This is not a Saturn. This is a Guardian Heroes machine. That's
Basically.
that's why I bought a Saturn, right? And I also traded it in because I'm stupid, and and that's what I do. But yes, other games that came out that day on the 26th was Dragon Quest on the Nintendo in 1987 in Japan. I wanted to bring that up because there was a remake that came out recently. Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII came out on the PS2 in 2006 in Japan.
I feel like I'm one of the few people out there that actually enjoyed that game.
I enjoyed it for the art, and I went into it thinking it's not an RPG. Like, it's just a shooter with Final Fantasy VII characters.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's how people that they need to kind of like change their mindset when they like their expectations when they go to these things. Because like they'll be like, it's nothing like Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, it's not meant to be. Like that your expectations are wrong, therefore you're upset. But if you came in like, oh, I like shooters, a third person shooter, you're like, this is not bad. Mm-hmm. So that's the one. Speaking of expectations, Mag on the PS3 also came out in 2010. I keep talking about Mag. I don't know why. I think it's because before Warzone, right? Mag was my Call of Duty. Like, I logged in every day. I was like, I picked this faction. I'm going to defend my territory with my 300 friends that I never spoke to on the internet, right? And at the end of the week, they go, oh, you guys lost. Kind of like For Honor. You guys played For Honor, right? There's factions in this one. Imagine For Honor as a first-person shooter. That's what Mag was. Massive action game. That's what Mag was for. Another game that came out on that day was Mass Effect 2 on the PC and the 360 in 2010.
Oh, man. It's a shame that Nick wasn't able to show up for this one.
No, it's all good. I have a feeling he's going to be like, so what'd you choose when I start playing Mass Effect? He's going to be on me a lot in that one.
Oh, yeah.
No More Heroes 2 came out, Desperate Struggle on the Wii in 2010. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars on the Wii in 2010. Armored Core 5 on the PS3 on the 360 in 2012 in Japan. Resident Evil Revelations on the 3DS in 2012 in Japan. Final Fantasy Explorers on 3DS on 2016. The legendary Dragon Ball FighterZ Z came out on a PC, PS4, and Xbox in 2018. Gosh, that game was so good. And Monster Hunter World came out the same year and the same day as long as Dragon Ball Z. That was the day where the why not both meme was popular.
Right.
So that's why. And like a dragon.
Why not both? But for those of us that only had enough disposable income to get one of those games that day, that was a tough choice.
Yeah, definitely. But here's the thing: it's better late than never. Right? Next week the game's already out, and there's another payday coming up. Right? So there you go. That's why kids work hard, right? And you can get all the games on this list. And then Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Speaking of working hard, Infinite Wealth came out on multiple consoles in 2024. Just last year, same time as Tekken 8 came out on the PC, PS5, and Xbox One in 2024. We're talking about this week in gaming history from games that came out last year already, and I'm still playing them. It's kind of crazy. Like, that's how fast time flies. So that is it for this week in gaming history. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right, so Nick's not here. We're booting up the next portion here. So we're going to go right into my man Ace over here with the tech. And if you guys weren't here last time,
I go ahead and get it all fired up.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to show you what it's all about. So the tech, actually, I'll let you explain what the tech is. This is your portion.
So for folks that are curious, the tech is basically where I dive into games that I've been playing recently, or games that are just hot on the streets, or even stuff that old favorites. But games where games that are a lot more than what is games that are a lot more than a lot more than what meets the eye, right? It's a, again, like games like Dynasty Warriors. You go into it. Most people go into it just expecting, a hack and slash, but there is some depth to these games, especially with Dynasty Warriors Origins. And I'm trying to, okay, add new source. That's what it was. Extra camera.
Yeah, last week we introduced the tech with the sword moveset in Dynasty Warriors, how to effectively use the sword moveset. If you're new to the game or you've new to the series or a veteran, because the game's a little bit different than the other Dynasty Warriors games.
So it's good for a refresher. And this week we're actually going to be covering the second weapon that you will wind up getting as you play through the game. That being the spear. So for those that are old hands at Dynasty Warriors, you might notice a good chunk of the spear move set from characters like Ma Chao and Xiao Yun. Let me get to a spot where I can reset my stance here. But once you actually get your hands on the spear, you will notice very quickly. You'll start to notice very quickly that okay, it's not just your regular attacks and your charge attacks this time. It's not. It doesn't have the basic Dynasty Warriors play like like the sword does. So you do still have your attack string, and again, a lot of these swings and swipes and stabs, you'll definitely think, okay, this is the Xiao Yun weapon. This is the Ma Chao weapon. But where things get interesting with the spear is that for the strong attacks for triangle, you can actually charge them. And charging them actually gives you different effects. So for the stationary strong attack, you get a heavy swing that also works as a guard break. For your defense in heavy, you get an attack that transitions you to aerial combat. Whereas if you just press it normally, it's a launcher. Mixing up your launchers and your jump cancels with the spear can lead to some rather devastating offense. Now, as far as the special attacks that you start with, or the battle arts that you start with, your first one is going to be a little out of the ordinary for unless you are ready for it, because it's a counter stance. Now, while you can still parry if you guard at the last second, but if you know a major attack is coming, you could just hit R1 and square and boom, you've got your counter stance, and it'll pretty much block any damage coming your way. And well, here we go. And you remember the little orange pips over your health bar in the lower left of the screen? That's your bravery. Those are your charges for your special attacks. And if you've got enough of them, and you've got an enemy like, say, Lu Bu that is just relentlessly coming after you, you will have a chance to basically chain together those counter stances. Boom. Counter stance, attack, counter stance, attack, pretty much any and every successive series of moves that comes your way, so long as you've got enough energy for it. But again, back to being able to actually charge up your strong attacks. The strong attack combo goes into a rapid series of stabs, which can also be chained into from it can be chained into from the defensive strong attack or the launcher. So you can go. So if you want good coverage, then you've got the launcher, the follow-up, and then major damage. So while this may be a shorter episode of the tech because, we've already covered the basic mechanics of Dynasty Warriors Origins, getting into some of the later weapons will most definitely show you, what you can do with those basic mechanics, but then, continue to add flavor, continue to add layers of depth, continue to add layers of tech to enhance your gaming experience.
Nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah, that said, if you want to see if you want to see demonstrations of any more of the weapons, hey, let us know in the chat. We'll keep rolling with these. We might switch over to other games like previous Dynasty Warriors games, maybe Sengoku Basara, maybe the other big banger that released around the same time of the month as this one, that being Freedom Wars. And I know that both of us could go, like both me and GQ, we could go in depth when it comes to the tech for Freedom Wars.
But I mean, pretty soon this is going to turn into tech for the wilds. So just keep that in mind, right?
True.
And we're all going to be sharing like what's the best tech for each weapon for each monster, right? So we're going to go in on that. So just we're just waiting for that right game to come out. There's always going to be a tech.
Think of this as your think of this as the video equivalent of Tips and Tricks magazine.
That's right. Tips, tricks, and tech. That's right. All right. Yep. Awesome, man. Awesome. And that's it. Okay, we're gonna the camera here. Sweet. Well, appreciate that, Ace. That was insightful as always.
Absolutely.
So the let's see here. Next segment is, of course, now playing on chat right now. I want you guys to kind of put in what you're playing right now. Share with us. I want to know what you guys are playing. So if you guys are new to the channel and or not watch my stream also, I made a personal goal this year to do an A to Z gaming challenge, and where I'll be playing a game from A to Z that I have not played yet, right? And I have a whole list of it that I actually will put into chat right now, just in case you guys have not seen it yet. And Andre is already laughing at the game. I jumped to T. I've cleared A, I've cleared B, and I've also cleared T for Trek to Yomi. And man, so I gotta ask you guys, have you played this game?
No, I haven't had the chance to play Trek to Yomi.
Okay, so from what you see on this screenshot right now, what kind of game do you think it is?
It looks a lot like an action game, kind of like Sifu.
Okay, yeah, I'd say that's right. It's accurate. It's definitely a 2D side scroller, almost like Prince of Persia: Two Crowns, right? Lost Crown, okay. But definitely not as detailed or in depth as Prince of Persia. The game is very, very basic when it comes to commands and gameplay. Up slash, down slash, neutral slash, and then you get some combos that you unlock as you play through the game. Where the game is actually rather dull, in my opinion. The gameplay is really lacking in most of the game, but the presentation of this like monochromatic samurai movie, Akira Kurosawa style, is definitely prevalent in the game. And not only that, I'd say the game's biggest strength is in its writing and narrative. It's just really weird. It's like I feel like they made a really good movie, but not a very good game. And why I say this is because I wanted to play the game just so I can get to the next part of the story, right? But getting that journey from getting to A to B for that next cutscene felt like it was a slog, right? And I also played this game, by the way, on the hardest difficulty at the time, and I still beat it within 4 hours. So that I can only imagine what it was like on super easy, but on the hardest mode, I beat it in 4 hours. Lots of trial and error on some boss fights, but nothing you can't beat after a little bit of pattern recognition, right? Let's focus on the strengths. I'd say the game narratively is fantastic. So if you guys haven't played this yet, or you guys need a refresher, you play as a samurai that through his lifetime. And it starts off as him as being a kid. Spoilers, and just warning you guys right now. Fights this samurai that's like a samurai bandit that's attacking his town. Right, master dies. He kills the bandit. Right, and then he makes a promise to his master's daughter, which they're his love interest, that he'll protect her forever. Years pass. Bandits come to the town again. Right, and then they say, "Hey, this town needs help." He goes out there. Gets help, gets ambushed, comes back. The whole city's on fire. His love interest is dead, right? And the guy that he killed when he was younger is back, and he's the one that killed the love interest. So it's a game about like revenge and redemption and also purpose. Because what I'm noticing as you play through the game, it's asking you to choose your path, whether it's love, duty, or revenge. Right, so those are the big three choices, and as you play through the story, the more of each choice becomes more apparent with your character and the world that he inhabits. So, and I'll leave it up to you guys to decide which path you guys want to take if you want to give it a shot. The game is actually relatively free or inexpensive. It's a good play if you like this kind of game, but as far as like comparing it to the other games already out, I say that this could have been a YouTube video, because that's how disengaging the gameplay was. It was just so monotonous and so basic that you just want to watch a YouTube video, because there's no real gameplay involved, honestly. Like I said, attack high, attack low, block, parry, but nothing challenging. Nothing to say, oh man, I could do better than that. Right after you die after the first pattern recognition, you pretty much beat the boss. It's not hard. So and I'm pretty sure the difficulty slider is based on how much damage you take, not actually how smart the AI is. So that's really frustrating for somebody that's looking for a challenge. But yes, Trek to Yomi is what I'm playing right now. And I made a poll on X on which game to play next, and the people voted for Doom 2016. So that's what I'm playing next. And I have it right here next to me. I bought the Doom Slayers collection, which features all the Doom games except Eternal. And it's a really good collection, actually. This is like $30, I think, brand new. Has the original Doom, has Doom 1 to 4. I think.
Bro, that's a solid collection.
Yeah, and it has the latest Doom in it, minus Eternal. You got to get that separately, but
Doom is definitely a mood.
Yeah, it comes with this crazy it comes with a poster, a Doom poster, of course, like the imp, the skeleton. But the really cool thing, it comes with a PS4 skin, controller skin.
Word?
For Doom. Like, you never get stuff like this anymore in your video game. So
that's wild.
So just to see this stuff with it, pretty cool. And of course, the smaller Doom games are all a code on there as well. But value, $30, well worth it, especially for that skin. Like, where else can you get that Doom skin from? Right? So I'll be playing that probably starting this Thursday. Y'all can watch it on this channel here and watch me fail, because I'm probably not gonna play an expert, just saying, because I want to, or maybe like as I get the hang of it, I'll ramp it up. But I hear it's pretty challenging already, so definitely check it out. All right. So yeah, that's I mean, I got some more stuff here. Ace, was there something you wanted to cover, chat about, or anything like that? I know Nick's not here. Nick usually covers our stories and articles. So,
and as far
as
the
gaming world you want to share, or personally,
as far as just what I've been playing this week, it's pretty much same as usual. First Ascendant, Dynasty Warriors, Freedom Wars. Actually, with the new character that just recently came out for the First Ascendant, I've already hit that point where I've basically maximized her build, so I could walk into most of let's just say halfway through hard difficulties. So at the very least up to level 145, 150, I can walk into boss intercept fights with her with the build that I've got, and just damn near walk through it.
Crazy.
But again, that's you got to take the time to build the characters, work with the mods, work with work with the catalyst so that way it'll actually, reduce the cost, reduce the capacity cost of, you know, how much each mod will take. In fact, the first descendant may very well be another series of tech segments, because there is some stuff to learn as you dig into the character progression and character management system there.
Yeah. Is it I'm not a first descendant player, because my tenure was in Destiny, and I feel like it's very similar, right?
Mhm.
Do they drip the story to you each week? How does that work? Or do you just play through the story until you don't play through the story anymore?
Well, like the way the story's been panning out, it's been it's being drip fed to players, through the different seasons. Like we're already like with Ines, the character that just came out that I was talking about, she is like part of the mid second season update. So
Okay.
like we're already we're already pretty much deep into season two, dealing with void, dealing with void exploration, and that separate side story featuring Ines and her partner Keelan, who looks a hell of a lot like Korean Wesley Snipes.
There you go. There you go. It kind of reminds me of, like, because I play Marvel Rivals, right? And I don't know if chat plays Marvel Rivals or not, but Cloak and Dagger, I mean, the game was designed by a Chinese artist, and so their design and look are usually a little bit sharper on the edges, right? When they draw these characters. And I was paying attention to Cloak's design, because they're usually Asians' depictions of black people are really weird sometimes. They're either on point or they're like not on point at all, right? And Cloak and Dagger actually was really good, really cool. Like every time like I see Cloak, I'm like, this homie Lenny Kravitz over here, this beautiful man. And, like they're like a power couple. They're like the same character, right? But it's just funny. Like, you want a white girl or a handsome black dude? Like, it's great. So it's everyone in that game is attractive, right? Rocket Raccoon is handsome. Like, that's what I'm saying. So, and I was actually talking to Tragic Lead about this, is that, like, how come Marvel Rivals survived when Concord did not? So, of course, I don't think him and I are going to see eye to eye on this thing, because he argues that it's mismarketing, right, misbudgeting, right, and I say that's horse doo doo, because you could say the same thing about Marvel Rivals, but it didn't fail. Like, why are people playing it? Right. So the question is to behold, and I kind of want to get you guys involved in this and what your theories are, is because ultimately I believe that, and I'm not afraid to admit that I was wrong, because one of the things I said was, I think there's a fatigue in hero shooters. Clearly there's not. Clearly there is not. I think what I really meant to say is, if a better one comes along, right, and the entry barrier of entry is zero investment, people will play it. And it looks good and feels good to play. So what does that mean? Oh, wait, a game that is actually good to play, feels good to play, people will play it. And if they're just comic book fans, they'll try it for $0.
They'll try it, or at the very least, they will pay attention to it.
Correct. And I'd like to credit the Red Riot Robot here, because he did a video on Concord, I think, and why it failed, and and why it didn't work out. And he said there were some modes in there that really affected the gameplay, which made no sense to him, right? And I think a lot of publications and YouTubers and creators don't talk about those features, right? And then to be fair, a lot of them said the gunplay is actually pretty fun, right? Pretty good. Feels like Destiny, pretty solid, right? But here's the thing. If you're already playing Destiny, why would I play Concord if the gunplay feels like Destiny? Right? Like, if I am a Destiny player 2 years in, right, and then $40 comes into my lap, and he goes, "What do you want to do with this, James? Do you want to buy DLC for Destiny that you've been playing, collecting for this whole time, or do you want to try this new Concord game that you've never played?" Right? And then, which means if I'm playing Concord, I'm not playing Destiny, right?
So taking it back a couple minutes, I would say, for the Destiny player that has been, investing their time and their money into, the expansions and the DLC for Destiny for zero investment except for the space on your hard drive,
Mm-hmm.
download the first Ascendant.
That's what I'm saying. It's free, right?
Mm-hmm.
The barrier entry is zero. The only thing that's going to take up is the space in your hard drive, right? I want to throw a little bit of jazzy beats here. If you guys know what this song's from, I mean, Gaze, come on, you would know what this is from.
Oh, I'm still waiting for it to play. I don't think I can hear it.
No? Is it too
There we
low?
go. It's a little on the low side, but now I can hear it.
All right, let me bring it up a little bit.
There we go.
You hear it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is good conversation music.
It is.
Yeah. Now this is the main menu screen music if I ever heard one. Like, this is
Right.
good. All right, so let's pick up a little chat here. So Andre says, along with the rival style regarding its art direction, roster, and gameplay. Yeah, I would. Here's the thing. I wanna tell this to the chat right here. I did not like the designs of Marvel rival characters when they first came out in the beta. I did not play the beta. I chose not to. One, because I said hero shooter, blah, right? I don't care. It's free, still don't care. The characters look okay. They don't look anything like their comic book counterparts. They look like too extreme. Like I said, the characters look sharp, like angles wise, right? They look too like caricatured. It's for my taste because I'm like a purist when it comes to comic book style. Two things already. I was like, don't care. Well, it comes out. I try it because it's like right in your face, right? I try. I was like, give it a shot. I'm bored. Game's hella fun. Doesn't matter which role I play. Tank, DPS. Playing a healer is fun in that game. That's crazy, right? Playing support is super fun in Marvel Rivals. I say that right now, right? So what does that mean? Oh man, this game's fun. Now I'm gonna play it.
It's like I said a while back though. Like, because I mean, I honestly think, if we're comparing Concord to Marvel Rivals, I think it's the artistic direction in that game that won people over. It's like I said a while back, people eat with their eyes.
True. I'm gonna piggyback on that because a YouTuber did a video comparing, and I hate to do this, but they were looking at the art style of Marvel Rivals, right, and the character models. They were comparing it to the Avengers game, right?
Well, I mean,
okay, so first of all, there's realism, and then there's hyper, like, caricatured, right? Very anime-ish, right? But like we were going to the root of the issue. Let's just say if both games were third-person shooters, would you rather be playing with like a character that looks like Venom in Marvel Rivals, or let's go back to like an Avengers character, Captain America, right? Or Thor. Thor's a good one actually. Thor from Marvel Rivals, or the Thor model in the Avengers, right? If you're playing a hero shooter, right? So that's kind of like the thing, and I think that's the same argument with Concord because the art style of Concord was very similar to Avengers, right? Realistic-ish, right? And I think like the first impression of that wasn't so good because everybody was saying like, oh yeah, Marvel Rivals characters are so clean, like but it's not the same, right? But it's what's attractive.
And again, the presentation just in the trailer for Concord, it had people thinking it was dime store Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to add on that, Andre. You said one thing I appreciate about Marvel Rivals is they made obscure characters like Jeff and Luna Snow popular. Honest to God, didn't know those characters existed until I played the game. And I said, these guys must be new in the comic book world because I don't follow comics, and I was okay with that. At first, I thought they were like characters they made
original characters for the game.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, let me do some research. And people make videos and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just out of touch. That, my friend, imagine me saying that I'm out of touch. Now, imagine if I was a CEO of a company that makes video games. I'd be like, imagine how out of touch that person is. Huh. You know what I'm saying? So they just don't know. like these things exist out there and that's what's hot and what's popular, yet they're the ones that are fronting the money to get these games made, right? So they're literally they're ill-educated, uninformed, but they're just throwing money at the problem, and they're hiring people that I feel like, you know, that are very similar to them, right? And like, how come fans can make better games than people in the industry? You know,
Simply put, because a lot of folks in the industry operate like they're ashamed of being in the industry.
Yeah, because, you know, maybe they wanted to be in politics, now they're stuck in game journalism, right?
Yep.
Oh, here's a good rhetorical for you, Andre, since you're very engaged at the moment. Your comment: the character models in Avengers work for what the game is. I agree. Avengers does also have a good gameplay too. I agree. Now check this out. I'm gonna blow your mind right now. What I said: would you have Marvel Avengers models in a third-person hero shooter like Marvel Rivals? Right? You said nah. I said nah. It's all right. Imagine if they had an Avengers game with Marvel Rivals art.
Oh,
look at this! Look at that response.
oh,
Did you see that response from Ace? That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about, and it proves what he's right. The first look of a game and character matters.
but I mean, again, remember how I was talking about, you know, my rhetorical for the, you know, for X-Men, for the X-Men Muso, for X-Men Legacy. Like, even just writing everything down, like even going into like the technical specs, I was like, okay, how do I want this game to look? How do I want this game to feel? And I immediately thought back to Sengoku Basara 4, you know, something colorful, something hyperkinetic, something that looks and has the same vibrance as the comics. Mm-hmm. You know, I want this thing built on MT framework.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. And this is why I was like, I hope they do another Dynasty Warriors, like in the art style of Samurai Warriors 5. Or is it 5 or 6? 5. Yeah. Like I love that artwork. I think that's great.
Oh yeah,
and you know, don't get me wrong.
That's the thing. It fits for Samurai Warriors when you really think about it. You know, it's that same sort of, you know, Sumi Ie, you know, that paintbrush style, like SNK did in Samurai Shodown.
Now, like I said, I think it would translate really well to Romance of the Three Kingdoms. You know what I'm saying? Like that art style is what I'm getting at. Right? They could do it. Right? If they did it for Samurai Warriors, they can do it for Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Like, I feel like that's what they could do that. Don't get me wrong, I'm also okay with the way Origins looks. Like I said, it's a reboot, right? And I'm okay with that. And I love the fact that people love this game that would have never looked at its direction years ago, right? So, and also here's the thing, man. One of the things that really I was like kind of brainstorming, IGN gave Origins a 9. To me, that's wild. A 9, right? They gave Space Marine a 7. You know, like, so it's for Dynasty Warriors to get a 9. That tells me like that's refreshing for them, right? So, but here's the thing: would IGN back in 2011 or 2012, the 2010s era, right? Would they have given Dynasty Warriors Origins the same grade? Because I feel like it'd be lower back then, right? Because that wasn't the hot fire that what everybody wanted in 2010. Like 2010 was like Call of Duty, like they were still like betting on those, or Last of Us, whatever, right? So,
well, I mean, come on, Dynasty Warriors 8. I'm talking, you know, the pinnacle of the series since 5.
8's so good. I love 8. Yeah.
And Dynasty Warriors 8 was barely breaking 6s and 7s in publication.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, here's the funny part is I really like 7 a lot. The storytelling in 7 was so good, right? And I was hoping 8 would follow that, but 8's still good. 8's like the perfect Dynasty Warriors for what we have right now. I haven't played Origins yet, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it was the complete one, right? Yeah. So that's why I like 8 a lot. It's the pinnacle of Dynasty Warriors. I'm just thinking that like maybe the industry kind of reset itself. Like they went, oh, okay, well, they should know, or the people in that industry should be like, oh, it's a Dynasty Warriors game. We know what it's all about, right? Like there's gonna be a sense of, yeah, I've seen this formula before. I have a feeling that's why they called it Origins, not 10. Because if they called it 10, they'd be like, oh, it's just another one of these, and there's 10 of them, you know? Like stuff like that matters in like, you know, marketing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of thinking, are the employees and these journalists so different from the ones in 2010 and 2000s that their take on Dynasty Warriors is like almost new, right? And not like they're right now, those people have never played a Dynasty Warriors game like us, and they're experiencing for the first time like what we did back when 3 and 2 came out, right? And that's why, because remember, back in 2 and 3, we're like, this is sick. We never played anything like this before. So I have a feeling that there's just a new wave of like journalists, new wave of creators that have never played Dynasty Warriors, right? They're going, Origins is so fun, but they have no reference of the past like 9 plus titles for it also. You know, because imagine like
Origins would basically be their Dynasty Warriors 2 or Dynasty Warriors.
Correct, 3. And that's why it's so high, right? Because I feel like if they call this 1, call it 10, and if it was some veteran that's like, oh, I played all these Dynasty Warriors games since 2, I think it would have got a 7. Like that guy that's more fan of a Dynasty Warriors would have gotten a lower score than somebody that's like, I've never played one before. You know, because they. 1, they can be burnt out. 2, it's like, you know, it's still different, but like, is it different enough to get a 9? 9's pretty high. That's all I gotta say. 9 is pretty high.
Yeah, like, especially coming from IGN.
Yeah, like they say when it's a 7, it's good, and when they say they give it a 10, it's a terrible game. You know, that's the joke that they have, right? So I think that's why I was like, oh, I'm curious. I wonder if like. I wish I can see like the roster of people, and this brings up to my next topic, guys. And I know I'm talking a lot here, but you know, I was talking to Tragic about this. I think the industry that we love and that we enjoyed back when, you know, 2000s, 2010, the peak of our gaming interest, before live service, before any of that. I think those people that made us happy when we played video games are no longer in the industry, and we have a new set of people, new set of talent that's taken over. You know, I'm hearing things from Ubisoft saying that they're like junior developers that are working senior dev jobs because those seniors have already left and done other things, right? And I think this is why we see a decline in quality in detail in video games, because the talent hasn't had enough experience to kind of like let itself cook.
Whereas.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at something like, say, Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves, like a lot of what's going on with City of the Wolves, we've got a fresh set of development and artistic talent, but they are also reaching out to the old hands that worked on the previous Fatal Fury games 25, 30 years ago and saying, hey, you know, this is your formula, this is your recipe. Come help us get the flavor right. And they bring them back in, and these cats are more than happy to come back and go, oh, you know, they're more than happy to come back and say, hey, let's help. And I think part of it is because of the simple fact that, like you said, the talent just hasn't had time to breathe, because it's all about chasing that dollar, chasing that, you know, chasing that yearly iterative release.
Yep. And like you said, they went out to the OGs and asked, hey, this is your baby and we're working on this. You know, how would you like us to honor what you've made without going too crazy? Right? Like those two working together formulate into something awesome and special, right? Eastern developer. Now, I feel like in the West,
it's something of it's reverence, but also just, you know, simple respect and appreciation for what came before.
Yeah. I just don't have that same trust and that belief in the Western developers, right? And what I mean by that, chat, is that I feel like these new wave of developers are coming in going, no, this is our time to shine. I don't give a shit what you guys made back then. And we get shit like Dragon Age Veilguard, right? So they took the thing that everybody loved, threw it out the window and said, no, we're going to make it this way, right? You know that story that you've been playing 4 games in? None of that anymore. We're making this story. Remember that character, those characters you invested your time in with that world, the choices that you mattered? Don't matter in this game, right? Hate to bring back the Dragon Age 8 and Veilguard. I bring it up because the lead writer just left. So in my opinion, that person went, all right, I'm out of here. This place sucks. after destroying the game.
Taking the money and running.
Yeah, exactly. And there wasn't even any money. You know what I'm saying? Like, the game failed. That's why I think the upper people went to the director and said, your game performed terribly. Right? Now we can either fire you or you can quit gracefully. Right? And of course they're gonna say, all right, I'm gonna move to other options, because they're not quitting the industry, they're trying to find another job. And Andre knows about this too. Like, Western game companies took a huge hit in quality in the last several years. Like WB gave us bangers like Mad Max, and all of a sudden we get Suicide Squad, right? So like, that's what I mean. It's like they're, one, out of touch, two, like, what would compel them to make a Suicide Squad game that's nothing like the Batman games or Gotham Knights?
That's either nothing like the Batman games, nothing like Gotham Knights, nothing like even the Suicide Squad movies, save the characters.
Exactly.
The characters they were based on.
And live service. Come on, man. Like, does it have to be? No. Gotham Knights wasn't live service, but it still had multiplayer. You know what I'm saying?
It almost was.
Yeah. I mean, like with the armors, right? Like but that's, to me, and the part that was worrying is the Suicide Squad game got pushed back so many times. So I feel like if I was a fly in the wall, I feel like Rocksteady said, no, we made games like this before, and WB was probably like, no, we're giving you this much, we need to make this money back, and so you need to put in some things that are popular, hot, like Fortnite, right? Because believe it or not, I also think that game was made when the Fortnite was like succeeding really well, and so they emulated over towards Fortnite, right? So I don't know, it's crazy that let games be designed as they should be versus chasing, like you said, the dollar, right? The god. So, and that's why money ruins video games. Anyway, that was a hot button topic I wanted to get off my chest. It was just something that I think not a lot of people talk about. We have a lot of people that hate on games on YouTube and social media, right? Like, ABC company did this, DEI ruined this, right? Well, let's face it. Is that really the cause? Or, because here's the thing. I'm glad to see people aren't buying the stuff or forced to buy the stuff they're making right now. Gamers are making their voice heard by not making the purchase. Companies are going, why aren't people buying our games? Well, if you told the devs this is what you want and they made it for you, who's to blame? Not the devs, you're the ones that want the monetization. Devs are probably pushing back against it, but they know you're giving them the money, right? So they're not going to fight you on it. They're just doing their job, right? But they're probably pushing back a little bit because they know what gamers like, and this is why I can't be so hard on devs, because sometimes, like, I understand they're going to twist your arm, you work for them, right? And you're going to have to make what they want, not what you want, right? But that's not true across the board. We got people that are putting their own drama into their video games, right? Putting their own characters into games, right? Like, we don't want that. I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I said, Tosh from Dragon Age Veilguard. That's a big one. Everybody's memeing about Tosh. I feel like they could have written Tosh completely into the world of Dragon Age without being so insufferable if they did it properly. Right? If Tosh was like, a lot of YouTubers are playing the game, they're going, wow, this character is annoying. I don't want to be around this character. But they could have written Tosh in a way where you cared about their plight without being annoying. That's the problem. The writing was so bad. Even Tragic said, this is not the same Dragon Age that I played, and he's a huge fan because the writing was so bad, right? And that's what happens when you vomit and use the internet for therapy. Don't do that. Don't do that. So anyway, looking forward to 2025 for these games that are coming off. Not off the shoulders of giants, but the new giant killers, right? Lost aside.
Just not standing on the shoulders of giants, but stepping into the ring to try and face off against or fight alongside them.
I want more Davids than Goliaths out there this year, right? Yeah. So first Berserker Kazan, man, I'm in.
Berserker, Lost Soul aside.
Blade Zero,
Phantom Blade Zero.
I'm in. I'm in. And apparently, there's a new like Stellar Blade like game out there that's coming out pretty
Oh,
soon.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. I forget the name right offhand, but yeah, again, just there's and then there's also stuff like Be Spined. There's
Mm-hmm.
Double Dragon Revive. Again it's the middle market. The double A leagues are really starting to their talent is finally starting to bear fruit.
And I'm excited.
And
I'm all for it.
It's talent that isn't beholden so much to the big dollar.
Yeah.
I'd buy that for $1.
Exactly. And here's the thing. I think like they know that like, because I feel like they pay attention. They go like, oh, these guys don't know what they're doing. Their games aren't selling. Now it's the time to get in there, right? To get noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I just read an article saying the guy that runs the Stellar Blade studio gave all his employees a PS5 and a $3,000 raise.
Yep, because of how well Stellar Blade did. I mean, when Stellar Blade released, as a reward for everybody in the office, he got everybody a PS5 so they could play it.
That's what I'm saying.
With the awards that this game has gotten, he's like, okay, we've made this much money off of the game. It's doing great. We got the extra support. We got the Nier Automata DLC. You know what? $3,000 raise and everybody gets a PS5 Pro.
He said, why the Squid Game is so popular? I mean, I think Squid Game is popular because they haven't watched Battle Royale yet. Hot take, but that's just me. I'm just an old man, that runs an academy and yelling at people on the internet. Anyway, anything else you wanna add before we take off for the night, Ace?
Not that I can think of. We've just we've had a great conversation just regarding the state of the industry in general and just how how things are going to start shaping up over the remainder of this year and maybe over the next couple years, all things considered.
Yeah, as bleak as the industry looks right now, especially with Sony cutting back on a bunch of stuff, your thoughts, your comments are being heard out there, and there's nothing louder than speaking with your wallet, and that's why they're suffering right now. They canceled another live service game on Sony. That's a win, boys.
Multiple live service.
They're going. It's not working.
God of War.
Yeah.
Live service Horizon.
Was that Yohei Yasuda?
Mm-hmm.
He knows that he told us that Miyazaki is really busy and is aware that people want Bloodborne 2. He says he doesn't want anybody else working on it but him. So just keep that in mind. They're aware that you guys like Bloodborne.
Great idea.
Yeah, and that's good because he's always doing stuff, and I think it's going to be an PS5 title, PS5 only. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be like next level graphics. It's probably going to look better than Elden Ring, right? Hopefully Bluepoint will help out with it. They did a good job. So let's see here, and I want to add to that, Andre. If they want to make a new BR game, make it out of BR. Make it out of Battle Royale. I think that'd be super fun. Where you make alliances with people and then people betray you, right? And then, but you're on this island and you have a bomb strapped on your neck, and then you guys have to like fight out the other ones, and it's all just like melee or whatever. I think that'd be super fun if they actually made a Battle Royale game. So, okay. They canceled 3 live service games according to Red Riot Robot. Awesome. All right. Well, with that said, I'll put it towards our outro here as always. All right, chat. I got another one for you. You gotta let it sink in for a little bit. That's how the song works. And just like that, we've reached another incredible journey here at the Academy. Tonight, we walked through gaming's greatest moments, learned the art of the sphere, and unlocked a treasure trove of retro memories. Those ads are insane, and expect more to come. We missed having our gaming news insider Nick aka the Tragically Elite. Hopefully he's doing okay. But hey, we know he's got his own quest to conquer, and we'll catch his quick bites next time. Remember, the magic of gaming isn't just in the pixels or the mechanics, it's in the stories. The stories we create, the worlds we explore, and the connections we make along the way. Every save point is a reminder that no matter where you are in your journey, you can always pause, reflect, and get ready for the next adventure. To all you out there at the Academy and the internet and the web, know this. Whether you're crushing high scores, grinding through challenges, or simply exploring for the love of the game, you're part of something bigger. A community of dreamers, doers, and gamers who understand that life, like our favorite games, is all about the persistence, the passion, and having fun. So as we log off tonight, take that energy with you, keep playing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep being you. We'll see you next time. Same channel, same epic vibes, and until then, stay awesome, stay safe, and keep leveling up. Have a good night.
Class dismissed.